K-pop.
Well, you got your will. You got the Witch Doctor on the dire side of things.
I think Deuce is decent here. She's tanky enough to survive a Ravage and a Faceless Void easily, but at the same time, I think her damage output is going to be severely limited by Razor with Static Link as well as Tidehunter with Kraken or with the Anchor Smash.
That's assuming Razor's ever going to get near her, though.
Just get a BKB. They have nothing for BKB.
Reverse Polarity?
I mean, they're not going to be able to kill him.
Stone Gaze?
They're both mediocre, but Medusa, usually you just sit there, you turn on your ultimate, and you turn on Split Shot, and you just auto-attack, hold position, do whatever you want.
Yeah, but when you set it up with Polarity and then have the Earthshaker to follow up with, Deuce is just going to stand in the background and be like...
Yeah, I mean, that's assuming you get things freely, but, I mean, they can run in with a Razor, they can blink ult with Tide, they can run in with Faceless Void. They have many ways to initiate.
Definitely.
You can't,
both lineups can counter-engage each other.
Yes. But it's not your class that, like, Deuce, okay, she can't die. Whatever you throw at her, she isn't going to be able to die. But at the same time, you want her to be able to do damage. And normally, you don't have this Razor interaction or any sort of huge minus damage so that she actually has to run. If she runs, she doesn't do anything in fights.
One of the classic ways of countering the Medusa is to get Mana Burn. But
Anti-Mage is already banned.
The thing that Secret noticed is that Anti-Mage was banned by the enemy team. They have the Coddle themselves from Mana League. So now, as far as Mana Burn goes, we're kind of only looking at Necro books that are like really useful, right? So she is incredibly tanky. PL is out of CM.
Lion.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Lion.
Mana Drain.
Very situational.
He would get wrecked.
Extremely situational.
If there was like a Chronosphere, he could stand outside.
That's true. He's technically dealing a lot of damage with Mana Drain.
But yeah, and when he gets the Agano Scepter off, it's great in the Chrono.
Medusa is like almost impossible to kill if she has good farm and you don't have Mana Burn. It's insane how much she can tank through.
I mean, to be fair, Pyrian has a good point with the 2 disables on her as well from Lion.
Lion wouldn't be half bad, but it's the Mana Burn itself is pretty unlikely to get off, I think.
Yeah,
but
you could get... I think Jakira would do something here as well.
Does Doom remove Mana Shield?
I don't think so.
If you have Eggs.
If you have Eggs.
Isn't it? Yeah, you need the Axe to disable passives, right?
But it's not a passive, it's an active.
Wow.
That's true.
Okay, this just got off the chart.
Ouch. There is still Doom there, and that would kind of mess up quite a bit. Timbersaw and Medusa.
I think it's too much farm that they would need on
that
their
would be
team.
extremely
Where
greedy,
would they
because
put
Doom
it?
would have to jungle.
Yeah,
They would have to jungle, and that's just not possible in their lineup.
I think it could be Lion, or it could be something like Jakira or something like that.
I just don't see them killing the Medusa in the mid-late game. Like, with these picks. I know it's crazy when they have a Void and a Razor and a Witch Doctor, but if you don't have any Mana Burn, and there's any sort of help, just one Blinding Light.
Necrolite. To give it the walk down.
Well, it's not really going to help either.
Yeah, Necrolite.
They need more stuns. Okay. Well, they went for Lich instead.
They're going for the lane dominance.
Yeah. I think it's a good call. They don't want to play late game against this, I think.
Yeah, it is. Percentage HP removal and then just into the ultimate. Bye-bye.
She doesn't really lose that much health.
She doesn't have HP. She relies on mana.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. We're going to head over to the commentators in just a moment. Of course, this is, it is, in the words of Pyrian Flax, a super gross lineup as far as Team Secret are concerned. Let's see whether they convert it into their first match win. Our commentary team are standing by for Game 2 of the quarterfinals of ESL 1 New York.
That's right. Thank you, Red Eye. And we're going to join by myself, Capitalist, and of course my good co-caster, ESL favorite, 7 King Matters. I'm going to be referring to as Sebastian. Man, Sebastian, it seems like we're going to be facing up against what seems to be a David versus Goliath matchup, man. This feels very, very one-sided. The US team versus up against a team that is pretty much practically undefeated. I don't know, what do you think about this?
It's going to be a really tough matchup for Navi US, that's for sure. I mean, Team Secret has been looking so strong, so damn strong, and I don't think that they even played all their cards yet. Those players are so experienced, they can play basically any type of lineup, aggressive lineup, defensive lineup, exactly like they drafted today. So looking forward to see how they can adapt in a LAN situation, because it's their first LAN as a team, and that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to be seeing, start off, a defensive tri-lane from the side of Team Secret, of course. This is to be expected. We're seeing very much a turtle type 4 protect 1 strategy from Secret. This is going to be one of those times, I mean, all these hard carries are really coming into the meta. The Spectre has been really popular of late. We've seen our handful of share of Medusas as well. You can see Navi US, they're going in for an early engagement into the jungle, looking to see if they can just get in some early wards and possibly contest that early pull, which we can see. And it looks like they'll just be going back to a defensive tri-lane of their own, or at least, I would say, dual lane, right? I mean, you're not expecting the Lich to be run in a defensive tri-lane most of the time. So do you think he actually goes into the off lane here with the Tidehunter and maybe stacks up the Ancients a little bit, or does he control the mid better?
Yeah, it's very smart from Navi US because they're going to get a really good off lane. I mean, Lich Tide is a very strong one, and they're going to deny farm from Kuroki on the Medusa. And what they did is actually go as 5, block the pool camp, because they know that Shaker usually roams and get boots and mana potions. So he just roams around. They don't buy sentries. So that's going to be a really big deal for Team Secret. They're not going to have early XP on the supports.
So this mid matchup, we're going to be seeing S4, the son of Magnus, facing up against Korok's Razor. Now, normally we're looking at it, range matchup versus melees. Yep. Normally it's in the favor of Razor, but Magnus is one of those, I would say, exceptions to the rule where he can always just survive through lanes just because bottle spamming and just spamming out Shockwave, he should be able to do pretty well in this matchup, right?
There's also a lot of pressure that Magnus can put on Razor when he gets level 6 because of... You can, like, Razor to dominate his lane has to link the Magnus and just push him back. Whenever he's going to do that, Magnus can instantly RP him and skewer him back to the tower. And if there is any support, like an Earthshaker, a Cuddle Wave, then Razor can die. So Korok is going to have to be really careful with the links when Magnus is level 6. Whenever a support is missing, he can instantly die. And that means lose the lane to the Magnus, which should never happen when you play Razor.
And then we've got this offlane here from the side of Team Secret, the Timbersaw, who's facing up right now 1 versus 1 up against Snake King's Faceless Void. Eventually will be joined by the Witch Doctor. But Witch Doctor, not really known for being the best harassive support. He's got a pretty good attack animation, but that's sort of solved by the reactive armor. So I feel like he should be able to do really well in this top lane, 1 versus 2, get a lot of farm out, which is usually the biggest problem with Timbersaw, right? Is that his escape mechanism can be a little iffy up against certain stuns. You can easily interrupt that, and he can just be kind of harassed away pretty early. You have to make that choice at level 1, whether you go for the reactive armor or the escape, and that can leave you exposed to just not getting any early experience. But in this matchup, it seems like he's going to get level 3 pretty fast, and then from there just play very aggressively up against this dual lane.
I really feel like Fly Simba can win this lane, honestly, because Void and Witch Doctor can force him back. They can kill him if he overextends, but they cannot burst him. And a Timbersaw can burst your support. I mean, if Timbersaw decides to go for the Witch Doctor, there's nothing they can do. I mean, they can get really good bashes from the Void if he's lucky enough, but I feel like Timbersaw is favored for it. So basically, like, every off lane is actually looking good for the two teams. Lich Tide are going to do really well against Medusa as well, because of the fact that the pool camp is blocked. And this is a really big deal for Team Secret. I really feel like they should have bought sentries. It's going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah, just basically because they can always pull the lane back, and it's unlikely that there's going to be a very efficient gank. I mean, if they're already so far back and so close to their tower, you combine the fact that then the supports on the side of Team Secret aren't necessarily the most threatening in the world either. I mean, the Earthshaker Fisher mixed in with the Illuminate Blast, that's a lot of damage, but not as threatening as other support duos out there in the game. So I think you're right. I think we're going to be seeing both offlaners get a lot of experience, and I guess it just comes down to, mainly for me, how this mid matchup goes.
Definitely.
That is going to determine how this laning phase.
It's going to be even. I think Razor is going to have a slight edge, but nothing really impressive. Magnus is just going to spam the waves like Bottle Crow or just get the runes, whatever.
Right.
He's going to even get mana from Poppy at one point, so he's just going to get, I mean, a dagger at a good time, mana boots, etc., whatever he needs. So I don't think the lanes are going to be very even in that game. It's just all going to come down to the first initiation or the rotations from the supports.
And who's that really going to be coming from? I mean, do you imagine this is... I just can't see the Earthshaker by himself being enough to set up a kill in any one of these lanes. I mean, possibly the Razor, as you said, like the RP is probably going to be our first setup. But pre-level 6, I just don't see a possibility, unless a hero seriously overextends himself, of there being a very early first blood. And it seems like we're just going to be having a bit of a farm battle back and forth and a little bit of pause Dota in between.
It's cool. It gives us time to actually know what's going to happen. I mean, to be honest, I don't see... This game is going to be very passive early on for the first 15 minutes, I'm afraid. Very, very passive and defensive. It's going to be very strategical, the warding, the rune control, because that can turn the mid lane. The haste on the Magnus, an Invis on the Razor, stuff like this can actually turn the Magnus and the Razor into gankers. But before we get dagger on Magnus, before we get actual items on the Razor like a mech or anything that can actually push them to take fights, I don't think there's going to be any sort of aggression from both teams. It's just going to be very defensive lanes. You know, just protect their carries, protect their mid laner, and farm up, get the levels you need.
Now, does that concern you for Navi US, is that we're going to be seeing a very stalled out laning phase? And obviously it feels like there's a bit more pressure on them seeing this 4 Protect 1 strategy. We heard the analysis desk basically talk about how the Medusa, she kind of seems unkillable once we go into the mid to late game. And so in which case, Navi, there's so much pressure on them to try and shut down Team Secret, and yet they can't do that in the laning phase. It's got to be more of the mid-game team fights that they're looking for.
To be honest, the analyst desk mentioned that they don't have mana burn is really good against Medusa, right? But Void can't go for diffusal Manta style build.
True.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Like we've seen, I can remember Silent does that every time he faces a Skeleton King carry and he has Void. It could definitely work versus Team Secret's lineup, and then he can actually burst down the Medusa regardless of the mana shield. So I could expect Snaking to get that, and that's maybe why they actually decided to farm the Void instead of the Tyrannor, because Lich's Void offlane is actually legit. I mean, maybe not as strong as Lich Tide, but since you're not gonna have to kill the Medusa, just gonna have to farm up under your tower, maybe that's what they have in mind to counter the Medusa from Kuroki.
And of course, for those of you guys who don't know, when you are the Faceless Void and you throw down that Chronosphere, obviously it locks down all of your allies, but some of your own units, such as Manta Style as well as Necronomicon, do work. You're able to move those units around and attack. So that could be a viable option. I mean, I can't remember the last time that I've seen a Diffusal Void. It's been quite some time, but maybe we're going to be seeing it again. But my biggest concern, I guess, basically comes down to the Timber Saw. And like, you have all this really defensive measures from the side of Team Secret, right? We've got the very defensive support duo of the Earthshaker and Coddle. You even got Magnus, who I feel can make some big plays going into the mid game, but he's not necessarily a small-time brawler, right? He's not like a Puck who can make team fights happen every single minute. So it really just comes down to this Timber Saw, who is the true brawling hero, and the fact that he's going to be doing so well in the laning phase.
He will create space, for sure. For
absolutely. That's what I'm thinking.
I definitely agree. He's going to be the playmaker for Team Secret, at least in the early phase of the game. That's for sure.
Well, Bulba, he's having a pretty decent time here in this bottom lane. It's getting 5 CS, obviously not too huge, but for an off lane to be expected. Our mid matchup being right now the Magnus sitting at 13-1 compared to our Razor, who's actually 9-4. So Magnus doing really well in this lane so far, despite the fact that Razor has picked up a couple of denies. All in all, to be expected, really. And really, the Timber Saw, 6-1. He's getting a lot of experience, though, as he's sharing a part of this pull. And he's making sure to roam over and be a part of that experience every single time.
Yeah, Pop is getting a lot in the jungle. He's already level 3. So he's been just spamming waves on the creeps with his Keeper of the Light. It's something he has been doing with Navi as well, when he used to play that hero. So he's gonna get a lot, and just always stay behind the Magnus just in case, give him some mana, control the runes, and farm the woods, which is really good. This Keeper of the Light can be seen as a jungler. It's actually very effective in the jungle, so I like this decision from him. He's not gonna help the Medusa. I mean, Medusa's okay versus Lich Tide. She can't really die unless she overextends, but he understands that, and he's like, whatever, I'm just gonna try to get some farm, try to get a mech or whatever he needs, rush Axe. I don't know what the strat is, but I like this decision from him. It allows them to have even lanes because they're facing versus the Lich and they don't have the pool camp. So
so they're missing out on a certain amount of golden experience, and Keeper of the Light is making up for that. And now that he's hit that level 3, that's sort of the point where Keeper of the Light no longer relies on clarities as much. You were seeing him get a little bit low on mana, but now with that level 2, oftentimes when you see a Keeper of the Light, when he does this, he goes for, at level 3, a level 2 Chakra Magic, and then that's that infinite mana spam.
That is most likely what he's going to go for. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can't really do anything in that safe lane, as you said, because really the Keeper of the Light with auto attacks, that's not going to be enough, especially up against a Tidehunter who has that Kraken Shell, as well as potentially the Lich Armor later on. And if you're spamming out the wave to harass people, well, you're just going to push it into them. So
definitely
not really a viable option. But as we go into this, about, I don't know, where do you think you're going to see the first movement from the side of Navi US, right? There's definitely a lot of pressure on them to perform well in the mid-game. When do you think they make that transition from the laning phase to going, okay, let's force some team fights with the Chronosphere, let's try and take down some towers? How long?
I think level 6 Void. I mean,
right away.
Snaking, he has to create space for his team, because when they have Chrono, then Team Secret, they don't have really that answer to the Chrono early on. They have nothing. I mean, they have counter initiation, but RPing in a Chrono is not an option. They can really counter initiate after, but they're going to lose the hero they Chrono. That's for sure. I mean, on the Lich ultimate, the Witch Doctor ward, the hero that gets chronoed early on is going to die, no matter who it is, even if it's Medusa. And the Shaker Fisher is going to win some time, but it's not going to be enough because, as it was mentioned in the pre-game analysis, it's not going to be the Void actually dealing the damage. It's going to be the Nova, the Plasma Field, magical spells.
Right.
So the Void is going to create space, get them some kills, maybe some towers, although it's actually really hard because even if you kill 1 or 2 hero, getting the towers is not easy versus the spam from Magnus, from Keeper of the Light, from Shaker. So I think that it's going to be about farming, getting some key kills, and the Roshan advantage from the Dire side if they can actually get the Roshan. That's what I don't really like about Navi's US lineup. They don't use the fact that they are Dire because they need the 5 heroes in the Rosh pit to get the Rosh, and that's not even fast. It's going to be a really slow Rosh, and you don't want to spend time in that pit against the full AoE damage from Team Secret. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could have like the Coddle just sitting here with the new Roshan.
Exactly.
You could just spam out Illuminates right into them.
And he's going to solo kill them, right?
Yeah.
Solo push them out. So it's the only weakness of their draft. I feel like Navi US, they lack this Russian abuse. Not that it's an abuse, but like you got to use all the resources you have, right? So, and I don't feel like they can really use that with their lineup.
You could see just how confident Fly, now known as Simba, up in this top lane is. He's gone for no escape mechanism. No level in Timber Chain. He knows that it's pretty much all physical damage coming out on him unless we see like a really weird early level of Maledict on the Witch Doctor, which is highly unlikely. Nobody really goes for that spell early. So he went ahead, just second level of reactive armor, and went for the Whirling Death because why not? He can go ahead, get some easy CS out of that, easily harass the Face's Void at the same time, and also decrease their damage by taking away that primary attribute. So in general, it goes to show how aggressive he feels he can be in this lane. Now, it does seem like he's been taking a little bit of damage, and you can see that Snaking has gone for an early set of boots, maybe to try and help harass the Timbersaw away a little bit more.
And it's actually a shame Snaking disconnected. I'm not sure if it was key in the move because they're actually going on Simba right now. The cask was just used, I mean, 2 seconds ago, and Snaking has the jump, like the time warp ready. He's going to be jumping on Simba for sure, but you can see that he already have 8 charges of reactive armor, so I'm not sure if they can kill him.
Jump
it's
in.
Gonna be really close.
They need a time block. Brock is going to get one more.
Zero bash.
Couldn't get it.
Really
and
unlucky.
The Fisher also being able to help them out, pushes the enemy away. At least they forced a teleport, but obviously not really what they were hoping for. So now that we're back into the game, we can see Korok once again forcing away S4, but every single time he just takes a little bit of damage and really doesn't force out the Magnus truly, as it just comes down to oftentimes shockwave hits. Jump in, Kuro, gonna be taking a little bit of damage here, unlikely to be going down as that mana shield just makes him so tanky. I mean, do you think that extra little buff that happened to the mana shield, the extra 10% that you're getting with the latest patch, do you think that actually makes a big difference for the Medusa?
Not that big of a difference. I think the Medusa came back. There was also the Mystic Snake buff, plus the mana shield buff, plus the fact that the version is now more late game oriented and Medusa is one of the best late gamers. I just think the Medusa is good as a hero.
S4 looking for that skewer, trying to get in front, but couldn't quite get there. And will actually be unable to get the kill despite the fact that 2-man rotation from the supports of Team Secret. So good attempt, but unfortunately just couldn't quite seal it, especially without that RP.
What they need right now is the level 6 on Magnus, and then Korok is going to be really pressured on the mid lane. He cannot link the Magnus anymore, else he dies. So Magnus is going to be really even. Like, the lane is completely even, honestly. Razor is known as a mid crusher. It's actually not the case. The lane is even. Magnus is even 3 CS ahead, so that's a really good thing for Secret. And that's why Puppey actually drafted the Magnus instantly when he saw the first pick Razor.
Yeah, just especially in the hands of S4, one of the best Magnus players out there, if not the best, knowing that he's going to perform well no matter what matchup he's going up against. And that's going to mean an early Blink Dagger, an early initiation, which is so necessary for this team on the side of Team Secret because they are going to be, I mean, that's their most offensive jump in right there is the jump RP and the potential after that. S4 gets picked off in the middle lane there, so the Plasma Field was able to finish him off. The attempt at a skewer, not quite enough. Now top lane, Simba. Oh, big blast goes down. Snaking's actually going to make the jump away just before the Timber Chain could hit him. And Simba almost going down there, but got some extra help from Puppey that kind of turned that fight entirely.
And you can see that the Void is pressured. I mean, he got a belt of strength as the first item, means that he's really pressured top. I'm really surprised Bilba doesn't have more farm, and they actually get him with the wave. Really nice play top.
Oh, big. Yeah, that's a big pick off, and that's something that, I mean, with Puppey already being there in lane, they should know about that, but it looks like Snaking just slightly misplaying that. Meanwhile, way too sexy. Beautiful block off there from Big Daddy will ensure another kill for Team Secret. 2-1 now.
Yeah, the key ward from Team Secret actually spot the Lich just roaming and wanted to ward. So she just dies. Really nice play. I'm really surprised that Tidehunter didn't get much farm because it was a 2 versus 1 versus the Medusa, as just Coddle was just farming the woods and Shaker roaming around. He's actually has only like under 20 CS. Which is a bit surprising in my opinion. He's still doing really well, don't get me wrong, but I was expecting him to...
Oh, the RP gets laid down. S4 pushes him back into the tower, and that should be a pick-off. Exactly. Blast will seal the deal.
This is why Magnus is so good versus Razor when he's level 6. You cannot get close. If you get in RP range, you instantly die. And all the advantage you build as the Razor, just on every last hit, it's just gone, completely gone. You could see that now Magnus is level 7, and he's like... He's completely even with the Razor, so Razor did nothing on the mid lane anymore.
And Timbersaw, well, he's about to pick up his level 6, which is obviously huge in these team fights, the Chakram being able to add so much, but also the laning phase as well. I mean, it's a pretty mana-efficient ability for you to just throw out, farm up, while also harassing the enemy hero, especially if they're melee. And that's going to be made that much easier by the fact that Puppey will be backing him up with the Luminate Blast as well as the extra Chakra magic.
They're putting so much pressure on Snaking.
Yeah, look at him. He doesn't want to leap away like that, but in return, he takes a good 300 damage. And now may not be able to farm underneath his tower,
and
as he knows.
Mana boots on Coddle, so that's so much mana spam for Simba. He's just going to spam his spells all the time. And the healing from the Witch Doctor is not enough.
Snake King, barely leaps away there. And now the stun onto Simba, but he's got that reactive armor. Faces Void will drop it, and he does get a time lock proc in the very beginning. A good amount of damage. He's a little more, just barely able to finish off the Timbersaw before the burst damage could come through. And at least they do take him down after that overextension, but it just goes to show how early Team Secret are really able to push the envelope when it comes to this laning phase. Being so aggressive like that, diving way underneath the tier 1 tower, and it goes to show how secure they feel with the laning phase and how well they're doing.
They're going to pressure the Void so much. I feel like Snaking has to roam. Although now he has chrono cooldown, so obviously it's not the right time, but he will be forced out of his lane. And it's actually not a bad thing for Navi US in my opinion. It's okay. He needs to find openings.
Well, they're going to put this tri-lane once again, and this time around, Snaking, no mana and no cooldown.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
Sphere.
And you can see the warding and from Team Secret. They just unwarded top lane with the sentry, and they have a ward on the right, so they know what's going on. They want to control the safe lane, and that's how you create space. And the Lich might die from this.
Chakram catches him out. Blast doesn't quite last there, and Simba will keep choosing him. Nicely placed there with the Timber Chain. Simba will be able to back himself up just fine.
And this is how you create space. This is how you protect the Medusa. When you have a hard carry, it's not. We don't always have to sit behind the Medusa. Attacking is the best way to actually defend yourself in Dota. So they're creating so much space, so they force the rotation from the Lich, from the Witch Doctor, even from the Tidehunter pretty soon. So Kuroki is completely free. He can do whatever he wants. He can just farm the jungle, farm his lane, push the tower.
Yeah, they do have a stack up here for Bulba that he may be able to use a little bit later on to the game, but he desperately needs that Blink Dagger, I think. Just the long-range defense. Snake King Bits bursted once again. Just the Fissure and the whole entire combo of Timbersaw. And if he doesn't get enough backtracks there, there's no way he's surviving through that combo as such a squishy agility hero like that.
It's so much damage. It's insane, the damage output they can have from the Power Wave, the Fissure, and the Timber Super's damage.
Yeah, they can't even pull because every single time it's interrupted by the Keeper of the Light spamming out that Luminate Blast. So you're probably going to be seeing Navi US moving around the map a little bit more. They can't afford to keep going back to this top lane, and they may try and put some pressure here on Kuro with Way Too Sexy and Bulba, and even Snake King showing up now, but it's not really going to be enough, and it's just so unfortunate that a team that is supposed to be, you know, forcing mid-game team fights has lost the laning phase so hard that the 10 minutes around, they're moving away from wherever Secret are at.
They were forced to. Yeah, they had no choice, and look at how Kuro feels safe. He doesn't even have ultimate on the Medusa. He's like, no one's gonna bother me this game anyway, so I can just go for whatever I want. So he just skipped the most defensive spells he has. So Navi US has to find openings, and they have what it takes to take early fights. Maybe they wait the Blink Dagger from Bulba to actually get a good Ravage off, but right now their safe lane is completely lost.
You can see now Simba. Now this is a buff up I actually wanted to talk about. With the change-up of being able to have a guaranteed rune in each spot, this does give a buff up to certain offlaners who pick up bottle, and you can see Simba really took advantage of it this game. He picked up the bottle fairly early on and has been constantly rotating to cover that top rune, and it's paid off big dividends, whether it's just getting the bounty rune, which is a nice little golden experience buff for some of the creeps that you miss in lane, but also that refill of the bottle. And here, with the haste rune, nobody can come to top. Nobody can interrupt him taking this tower unless they do a 5-man teleport.
Yeah, he's just going to force them to use Ravage, Chronosphere, or any big cooldown spell like this, and they don't want to. They want to get more than the Timbersaw kill with their Chronosphere. They want to get a lot, and especially push down towers. Right now, it's just Team Secret controlling all the game, having a better game plan overall, and they're already putting the recall to use, which I really like to see.
Yeah, they're going to move S4 here and wrap around behind the Tier 1 tower, just ensuring that there's nobody here. If they catch a hero, that's great. But if not, they've pushed Na'Vi US back away from this Tier 1, which should be claimed here by Kuro. Not quite. Radiant will still get the last hit, though. Snake King's going to jump in, top lane, throws down the Chronosphere, locking down Big Daddy, but he needs a little bit more. Gets away from the Chakram. Now the Fissure almost coming out. The Blast comes in. They can almost pop him. He gets off a little bit of extra stuns, but he will eventually fall. The Chain Frost continues to bounce, hits Simba once, but unable to use that haste rune just yet, but now he spies Fog. He's going to go for it. Look at that burst damage. Voodoo Restoration keeping him alive for the time being. Snake King will try and help, but here comes Secret. They're coming in with 2 extra heroes. RP will be laid down to lock Snake King and take him down with a shockwave. And Korok, unfortunately, is going to be too late to this engagement. Secret continuing to move around the map very aggressively. Great response to the gank there of Na'Vi US.
That's the thing. I mean, with the pressure Team Secret is applying passively, just by roaming, by showing themselves on their offlane, they forced a Chrono and an Lich ultimate for a Shaker kill, which is a support that's level 5. That's what Secret has to do. They are creating space. That is what they are doing right now.
Oh no, the skewer perfect from S4 is going to bring him back into Kuro, and with an even better Fissure block from Big Daddy. It ensures there's no escape for the Razor, who's currently so much of the net worth from the side of Na'Vi US. He was the one who was almost on par with Kuro's farm, but now that's just been destroyed. Now jump in, Ravage goes off. They're going to try and throw everything at Kuro here. The Witch Doctor ultimate going off, still trying to eat through that mana shield, but he just takes so much and Bulba can't even finish him off. They're going to have to run themselves away. 2 heroes down, and possibly Bulba up next is able to get the blink out. Kuro still getting low, skewer back, and way too sexy will be popped for his greed to try and pick off Kuroki. Chakram goes out. Oh, what a beautiful Fissure block. Goes right through both of them. And Fog, the last one alive, the last man standing for Na'Vi US, will be taken out by that last Chakram. Korok comes in. He's all alone, being the first to revive here. And is he going to throw away another kill? Simba trying to play around with this one. Korok's Eye of the Storm's doing a good amount of work, but it's not enough. The magic damage rips through Na'Vi US. 12-3 now, as Team Secret showing the reason why we looked at this as a David versus Goliath matchup. The Giants are just killing it.
What a play from Team Secret, and they are executing this perfectly, and not with easy spells. It's Fissure, it's only skill shot spells, so really, really well played. It's impressive how they play it. And Kuro, that's classic Kuroki. If anyone remembers that player from Dota 1 days, he is a player that uses the magic wand to its best usage, honestly. He will always stack the charges, get the 15 charges, and this is why they actually won that fight. Because Medusa, without the 15 charges on the magic wand, was dead. And then the fight was completely different, but he just baits them. He understands that they're going to go for him, so he plays really aggressive, and then he just completely turns the fight. Awesome play from him. He needs to be looked for that magic wand usage. It's a classic Kuroki style.
Bulba is going to be spied out here by Fly, but there is a response. RP goes down, but Korok is here. Possibly could turn this fight, but not enough. They burst down one. Snake King comes in, gets a double Chronosphere, and the cast going out, as well as the Chain Frost. Bouncing pinball going around, and 2 are going to fall from the side of Team Secret. Big Daddy, oh, the time lock rock from Snake King. That's some RNG if you ever seen it right there. 3rd kill goes the way of Na'Vi US, and a glimmer of hope for them, possibly, after such a bad previous team fight.
Yeah, they needed that. That's actually really good. Getting 3 kills and a mega kills track from Fly, from Simba, that actually went to... it was actually Magnus mega kills track, sorry, not Simba's. So really, really good turnaround for Na'Vi US. They need that, but it's actually not enough. They need more than this to come back. Because when they don't have Chrono, they have nothing to fight.
Right, and that just means that Kuro here in the bottom lane is feeling so secure. Going for a tier 2, 15.5 minutes in. This early, he's pushing down towers pretty much solo.
And he has no tank items. He has only a Yasha, so just imagine when he has Mental Style, Lincoln Sphere, whatever he wants to get. It's going to be so hard for them to deal with that Medusa. They have no answer so far.
And speaking of that, do you just go, do you avoid the Lincolns this game for fear of it just really not doing enough? I mean, the targeted damage that you're talking about, the targeted spells are like Cask or Chain Frost, which are abilities that obviously can be thrown on others and still affect the Medusa.
Definitely.
Do you just avoid the Lincolns entirely, go straight for the Manta?
I think he can. I think he can afford himself to do so. Really, he doesn't need it that game at all. Anyway, it's going to be about him tanking in the Chrono, and the Lincoln Sphere is not going to bring that much.
Oh, he wants this tower. Him and Bulba are fighting over it. The stun comes out. Tower left with 1 hit. Nicely played by Fogged. But it's still another tower. 16 minutes in, a tier 2 falling. Not what you want to see if you're a Navi US fan.
A bit of a misplay from No-Tail on that move. I mean, Kuroki was going for it because he knew he had the Fisher to back him up to stun the Witch Doctor or whoever wanted to deny the tower before they do so. It was a bit late, so maybe miscommunication with the positioning. But anyway, they are getting all the towers. They got 4 towers, 3 tier 1s, 1 tier 2, whereas Navi US had no towers to their name. So that's actually huge for Team Secret. They're gonna have so much space on the map to farm up, to just map control. It's gonna be a nightmare for Navi US because they have only one hero that can gank right now. Effectively, is the basic ward.
Yeah, and the nightmare is looking even worse now as Simba is able to pick up a Bloodstone 17 minutes into this game, and considering the large number of kills that Team Secret have been able to pick up so far, this could be a very, very stacked Bloodstone that allows Timbersaw. I mean, you're talking about Chakram and being able to allow, with the Keeper of the Light, this infinite turtle capacity where you just spam out from long range all these waves that get pushed in, and then you could just heal him right back up with the mana. He may not even need that mana ever from Puppey now that he's got this Bloodstone and the potential increase of charges for it.
Definitely, and they almost have the Blink Dagger on No-Tail, Big Daddy, sorry. They almost have the mech on Puppey. I mean, they are about to shine.
Snake King gets caught by the RP. Chakram comes in. Do they have enough to be able to burst him down? They do. Just enough, as the backtrack level 1 just isn't enough.
That damage.
That's long-range burst damage, man.
So it's a Helm of Dominator for Kuroki. Probably he's gonna farm the Ancients. He's going full grid mode. So they are actually not looking to end the game pretty fast, which is completely okay versus Witch Doctor, Titan. You don't want to go uphill versus this unless you have really lots of items to tank up. And that's not the case yet. They need more time.
Right, Medusa kind of been in that that position for so long where it's like, all right, guys, we have a Medusa. Let's go ahead, give her some space for 70 minutes, and then she'll come into the game and wreck face. And it's still kind of that way, of course, with the buffs that she's received. She's a little bit more aggressive, and especially in conjunction with the, top lane. Hold on, Simba's going to be taken with the Faceless Void. He's going to be able to pop at least one here, and they're going to move farther to the left, but the rest of the allies are already out still, though. The Timbersaw not going to be down and out for long, and the Chronosphere is down. They can easily just defend this tier 1 tower. So while they did get a pick off, and a pretty decent one at that, they're not going to gain anything else out of it.
Yeah, because the Timbersaw is already back, I mean, because of the Bloodstone, and they just can't push towers. It's impossible. I mean, even if they kill one guy, it doesn't matter. Because of the 4 others, they can always defend towers, especially because Navi US has close to no pushing potential at all. They have, there is no hero on their lineup that can actually push a tower effectively. So the map control is all for Team Secret in this game. And you don't want to be in Navi US position right now. It's a really tough one.
Yeah, 19 minutes in, we're looking at basically an 8,000 gold lead right now at about a 5,000 experience lead, where Team Secret are controlling so much of the map as well. I mean, it's not only just that, but the fact that they have this really strong late game carry that is being able to farm up the enemy jungle right now, has had total free farm wherever he goes, and is completely uninterrupted. We had the one attempt from Navi US that was so close to killing him, and even that wasn't enough.
It really wasn't. I mean, I don't think it's gonna ever be enough. They need the full spells on the Medusa, but what about if Carl gets a pipe? What about, I mean, they need so much damage output. I was really looking forward to that Void, Diffusal, and Mental Side. I don't think it's gonna happen because he's severely underfarmed, just because of the rotation from Puppey and No-Tail, Big Daddy on the off lane. They put so much emphasis on that, their off lane, Team Secret. it paid off. It really paid off. So really nice game understanding from them.
All right, so let's talk about a couple of these items here. I want to first talk about Fogg's choice of the Ogre Club. Do you think this is actually a game? Going up against Team Secret, they have that long-range stun from the Earthshaker. Does he need a BKB in order to get a reliable death ward, or does he go all in on the Aghanims and just hope for mass out damage?
It has to be an Aghanims. He needs to deal damage because he's the only damage tier right now. Right. He needs an Aghanims. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a BKB. BKB is not going to do much here. He's going to be bursted anyway.
Yeah, sure, he has the ensured death ward that he can lay down for a lot of time, but it's just not going to be enough, not when Team Secret are so damn farmed. And you can see the rotation here into the bottom lane, but it doesn't look like they're going to be finding much as Navi US are playing very, very defensively the last few minutes. Everybody kind of farming up their own jungle, staying close by, so if there is a smoke gank, at least they can go ahead and rotate in and possibly make a fight out of it. Blink Dagger now being picked up by the Timber Saw, another great item. And after this, I don't know, Seb, what do you think? Aghanims?
I think it's a really good item to get, although getting something like a BKB, I mean, obviously they have the chrono, right? But besides the chrono, they have nothing. I would like to see a BKB to fight. Okay. So they don't need Aghanims in that game, in my opinion, although it's a really cool item to get. I think BKB is a really good option. And I love what Secret is doing. They're just forcing them to defend because Medusa, everybody says Medusa is the best late gamer, but I know they force a rabbit.
Look at that push, actually pushed him onto the other side of the Fissure. That was beautiful.
No buyback.
And Team Secret may just continue going in for the push here. Kuro with all that extra damage. Look at him, he's hitting for 200 damage a hit. This is just, how do you fight up against this when the tower is taking so much chip damage and you know that if you try and initiate onto Kuro, not only is he so damn tanky, but you have the rest of Team Secret who are able to return fire with all these extra defensive boosts, whether it's the Fissure, whether it's the Illuminate Blast, or even just the whole entire Timber Saw combo, which can potentially burst down your cores. I mean, Snake King still doesn't have anything, and he's not going to have a BKB for a very long time if he chooses to go that route. He's trying to go for more damage and more farming with that Maelstrom, and he does have it now, but it still leaves him so exposed in every one of these team fights.
This is a classic puppy call. That's how smart that player is. They force them back to their base. They force them to defend. So they all TP bottom. They get a pick off. Okay, now they're going to get skating again. This is huge.
Yep. Skewer is able to finish him off. Timber Saw gets another Bloodstone charge for himself. And another push to this bottom lane where they will force Navi US back. And even if they don't actually take the tower, as you said, they're forcing them back to
They don't want to. They just want to force them back to the base and then TP on the other lane. So they don't farm their lanes. That is Navi US when the lanes are out pushing. So they're just passively out farming them. So they wait. They're gonna sit till the lanes are out, like the top lane and the mid lane are actually out pushing, and then we're gonna see Timber Saw TPing, Magnus TPing, or whoever wants to, and then farm this and come back. So it's just passive out farm, and it's very, very effective, especially because they have the recall, so they can always take a fight if Navi US plays it right and just smoke around.
Right, and they like the push here in this top lane where Korok is refusing to come back into base until Thesis Void is back up.
It's the right decision. He doesn't, even if Void is back, he understands their. Look at Kuro now. He's going to go back, farm the whole lane, and they stay here. Right. And they lock Navi US lineup. You can see the difference in the goal. I mean, there was no fight. There was nothing. It's just skyrocketing for Team Secret. It's just how they play. They just force them to be stuck in their base the whole game.
Yeah, and you can see that in the gold graph too, where it's just, even when we're not having so many team fights, it's still constantly, the net worth is rising for Team Secret, where it's on Navi's side. It really seems to be stalling out. Now we have the straight up Scotty for Kuro. So forget about Manta, forget about anything else. Now has an amazing amount of stats. I mean, this guy is sitting at 1,800 health with 1,277 mana. With that 60% tick of the mana shield. It's just insane.
Yeah,
like
Scotty is one of the
die.
best tanky items on Medusa, and they might be looking to end the game right now. I mean, I think they have what it takes to end it. He's going for Aghanims on the Timber Saw. He's not even there. That's what I love about them. They understand the damage output they can deal and how tanky they are. So they know they don't need the Timber Saw. I mean, it's a LAN event. It's a really big one. So obviously you want to 5-on-5, have the best chances. They don't care. They know they are very experienced players, and they are just abusing their map advantage and the positioning to out-farm their opponent, which is really smart.
Can't say I've ever seen that one. The pull of the recall working with the Timber Chain. Much like when you have the instant respawn from the Bloodstone, you're able to go across the map. Timber Saw can apparently do the same thing with the recall. Now, Fogged, is going to be slowed down by this guy. Look at Kuro, he's just like keeps on going, because how do they stop this? They slow him down with the gush. They can't just ravage him. It's him solo, but he's so far forward. He knows, like, he's tanky enough, he can deal with it. He can survive for a good 5 seconds easily, and his team will respond.
So look at their positioning. They have the Medusa, right? And the Magnus behind. And if they jump on the Magnus, that's what they need to do, not jump on the Medusa. They have the Shaker even behind, further behind.
There it is, the skewer, the long-range initiation. Chronosphere, oh no, Snake King. Oh, doesn't get anything there. Korak looks like he's going to be the first target. Bulb actually gets held in by the Medusa, and now the Ravage goes off, but it's way too late. Fog can maybe hope for 1 kill, but not even that, as Big Daddy stops him with the Fissure, and now Fog trying to get away. He's not going to make it either. And Navi US looking like this first game going quite sour for them, and there it is, the GG call. Team Secret just steamrolling through Navi US in this first match.
Yeah, I want to say it was an